Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're on Pattaya, and we're going to have a chat today about newbies. And the question really is, do you think as a newbie you are experienced enough to handle Pattaya? Do you really think that you're experienced enough? Because the first time I ever came, which is now around 20 years ago, I thought I was pretty experienced. Let me just stop here. That is Pattaya Upper Market. That was the old Cafe Amazon. This is the new Cafe Amazon on the right hand side, which used to be a bank, if you remember, and they've just demolished the old temporary one. Anyway, as I was saying, I thought I was experienced enough, and believe me, I was not. And in fact, nobody is. You get taken for a ride every time when you're a newbie. You've just got to try to learn from other people who can try and teach you stuff. There's so much to learn about how different Thai girls are to what you've been used to. Anyway, I'll just give you some examples, really. That's and some stories, and you can have a listen and see what you think, you know. And I'd like your opinion on this particular story, which I'm going to give you later on in the video. Okay. Now, one of the first things that you're going to learn as a newbie is reliability, or rather the unreliability of Thai working girls. I mean, people where you come from, generally people are quite reliable, but here with working girls it's exactly the opposite, to the point where many people say you can't have a plan in Pattaya. You can't have a plan because it will go to pieces, right, every time. Now that's true up to a point, but depending on how well you know the girl. But when you're a newbie and you don't know anybody, and everything's fresh and new, the girls are new, everything's new, you're gonna be let down again. There's a friend of mine who has a plan, and what his plan is, he always has a plan B. Always has a plan B set up, because there's a 50-50 chance that you'll need it. And why? Because they're so unreliable, and they'll change and cancel arrangements at the last minute, or simply not turn up at all without even letting you know, and just leave you hanging. This happens all the time, and it's often down to laziness, or they're just not in the mood, or they didn't have enough sleep the night before, and they're too tired to or they overslept. Now, what you can do, or there's another one, another one is simply the fact that they had a better offer of more money from somebody else. All this sort of thing happens every day. Yeah. So when you live here, you learn to work around these problems. And what my friend does is he double dates. Now, what I mean is that he'll make an arrangement to see a girl, say girl A, at a certain time, and he'll also make an arrangement to see girl B 1 hour later. Now, 50% of the time, girl A will not turn up for whatever reason. It should be a no-show, but it's only a 50-50 chance, so girl B will probably turn up an hour later. Now, if girl A does show up, then my friend messages girl B saying he's had a hangover, and can they change the arrangement for the next day. Then she becomes girl A. This is playing them at their own game, because they do this all the time, and they will let you down without a second thought. Thai working girls. So don't feel bad about it. And my friend, it works very well for him. It doesn't often get let down now since he started this. So we're not talking about normal Thai people here. We're talking about working girls, okay? So if you come from a Western culture, when you would normally expect to stick to an arrangement to meet, then you must realize that that's not the case here with working girls, okay? They have arrangements which come with the proviso at the end, which says, quote, if I feel like it at the time. So that's why my friend double dates as insurance. So while we're talking about reliability or lack of, let me just explain some of the thinking behind it. With Thai working girls, having fun at work is of paramount importance, and being reliable is directly related to having fun, or sanuk, which is what that's the Thai word for it, which appears to sort of rule Thai people's lives, and being no doubt that the arrangement with you is work. So at the beginning, certainly it is. So if you want a Thai girl to be reliable, you have to convince her that it'll be fun, or they simply won't feel like it at the time. Like, for example, if a Thai girl goes to work in a bar where the mama-san is too strict and makes the atmosphere mai sanuk, or not fun, then the girl will not stay beyond her payday. She'll be gone, she'll become unreliable. Another thing that a lot of newbies don't seem to understand is many guys ask why the bar owners allow the girls to play on their smartphones when they're at work in the bar. Playing on the smartphone is fun. It's sanuk. And to ban a girl from using their phones would mean that working in that particular bar would become my sanuk, not fun anymore. So the girl would become unreliable and leave, and go to a bar which allowed phones and which was a fun bar to work in. It really is that simple, you know. In recent years, of course, there's another factor, because playing on a phone on sites like Thai Friendly and Tinder and all those is not just fun. It's an ever-expanding source of income for the girls as well. So talking about, as we were before, about playing them at their own game, I have an American guy I know quite well, and what he does, he doesn't like to play from girl to girl to girl and be a butterfly and what have you. He prefers to work a different way. And what he does is, when he finds someone he likes, he will actually move her into his condo. Now, he has a very nice condo overlooking the beach, overlooking the bay. It's quite high up, it's a good view, it's a nice place. And he moves the girl in. And he has a full-on, intense relationship where they're together most of the time. And he doesn't have any other girls at all, he only has her. Because he likes to be sure that he's the only guy at that time, of course, that the girl's seeing. And he teaches her exactly what he likes, so he gets the maximum enjoyment out of the relationship. The problem is that he has a very low boredom threshold, and after about 6 months he starts to get itchy feet, and then he starts looking around for a replacement. And when he finds one, in the little bit of time that he has when he's not with a girl, he'll be looking, and he'll find one. And then he's absolutely straight with the first girl, and he tells the first girl, look, I found another girl, and I'm afraid we're going to finish. Yeah? Tells you the truth. He then offers to give her cash. Basically, whatever he paid her each month, he would pay her again. and also enough cash for a deposit and the first month on a room that she'll have to take. So it's usually around 20,000 baht, something like that, maybe more. This is when you realize where the phrase money number one comes from, because this then turns into a bidding auction where the girl says, oh, well, I've stayed with you for 6 months and I need more than 20,000, and in order to avoid any aggravation, the guy then ups his offer and she lowers her offer until they come to a compromise. And the girl walks away happy with a bunch of money, and the guy is free to shack up with a new girl for the next 6 months. Rinse and repeat. But that's just this particular guy. Not everybody's like that. Now, I promised you I'd tell you a story. It's actually ongoing, but it started in 2018, but it's still ongoing right now after 4 years. This is about, well, in 2018, a 22-year-old, very pretty girl from Surin, okay, which is in northeastern Thailand, in Isan. And she came to Pattaya to find work, but not as a bar girl, not in a bar, at a hotel receptionist, because she had done very well at school and she had all her school leaving certificates and everything like that. And she was top of her class in the school at English, but there were no jobs in Surin for her. So she decided that she would come to Pattaya, because she felt that there was much more opportunity in Pattaya to make money than there was in Surin. And the other reason is she had very good qualifications. Now, the reason that she could go to high school and go to college and get all these qualifications, which a lot of girls don't have the opportunity to do because they don't have the money to pay the school and pay for the college. The reason was because her father was quite a successful builder, and he had a good building business, construction business, yeah, and he had built for himself a very nice big detached 4-bedroom house up in Surin, where she had been brought up, and she had her own bedroom and everything, and a decent lifestyle. Also, her grandfather lived there as well, a 78-year-old grandfather. He lived in the house, he had his own room, and the parents, of course, and then there was a room for her brother. So there was plenty of money. The father did very well. So about a mile down the road from the house was the grandfather's original house, where he used to live before his son, which is obviously the girl's father, became a successful builder. Let me just interrupt the story here. You remember that strange looking circular building which nothing ever happened with? It's now been turned into a circular bar. Interesting, eh? Somebody's got a good idea. I think that looks nice. Anyway, let's get back to the story. The family had lived in the new 4-bedroom house. Well, it wasn't that new now, for the last 15 years or so. But the grandfather had always insisted on keeping his original house. Now, this original house was just a scruffy little 1-room concrete block shack sitting on a small plot of land, and behind it was the shack was a wooden hen house, where the grandfather kept his 20 beloved chickens. And every day he would take his very old motorcycle and sidecar, and he would drive the 1 mile from his son's house down to the shack to take care of the chickens and feed them. And he'd collect the newly laid eggs. He'd spend maybe an hour or two there just taking care of the place and relaxing, before driving back to his son's house in the afternoon. And he did that every day. And he felt like he had his own place still, you know. So that's the girl's background briefly. You needed to know that as part of the story. Anyway, so getting back to the girl, she came to Pattaya and had absolutely no problem getting a job as a receptionist in a hotel, because she had such good school certificates, qualifications, everything, and college qualifications, and a good command of the English language. So go back in 2018. She was working in the hotel reception. I won't say which hotel it was, although my hairdresser friend has told me everything. She was working in the hotel reception, and a young German guy, around about 30ish, arrived on his first ever trip to Thailand. A newbie. That's one of the reasons I've included this story in this video, right? Well, the guy was besotted from the moment he walked up to the reception desk, and a relationship developed almost straight away. And he started to wait for her for a shift to finish, so they could go out together. He had a 2-week holiday, and after a while she would sneak into his room every night. And it wasn't long before the manager found out what was going on, but he valued her service on reception because she was very good at her job. So what he did was he just basically said, be discreet, which she was. So the German guy had his 2-week vacation. That passed by, and they stayed together nearly every night in his room and everything. And after her shift finished, they would go out and what have you. Anyway, he promised then to return as soon as possible, and he asked her if she wanted him to send her money as a sponsor, but she said no, I don't really need it. I've got a good job, and I'll be okay. So sure enough, 3 months later, German guy came back again, as arranged, and she'd managed to wangle a week's holiday from her job because her boss valued her services. So he said, okay, you can have a week's holiday, and off the German guy and the girl went to Koh Chang for the week. Everything went great. They came back to the hotel, same thing again. He stayed in the hotel with her, and they were together for the whole 2 weeks, and she stayed every night in his room. He went home. 3 months later he came back, but this time she suggested that they went to Surin and meet her family. Now the timing of this trip to Surin was such that the girl's father happened to be working away on a building job in another province, so there was only the girl's mother and the grandfather at home. So the girl told the German guy that it would be better to book a hotel in Surin, as they couldn't sleep together in their family house, and he wouldn't want to anyway, to which the German guy agreed. So off they went to Surin in a rented car, and the next day they stayed in a hotel, and the next day she arranged to meet her mother and her grandfather, but not at the nice family home. She arranged to meet them at her grandfather's concrete shack. Now, her boyfriend spoke no Thai at all, and her mother and her grandfather only spoke Thai. So the girl had complete control of the communication between them. And her and the German boyfriend only stayed in the shack for an hour and chatted as they could, best they could, to each other. But she had control of the conversation, of course. And then they went back to the hotel, and then the next day they went back to Pattaya. Now the following days were spent setting up a new bank account for the girl, a joint account with the boyfriend, where funds could be put by both of them into a fund toward demolishing the old shack and building a brand new house for the future, where the girl and the German guy could live together with the mother and the grandfather. The girl never told her boyfriend that her father was a successful builder, and never told him that there was a 4-bedroom house a mile down the road from the shack. Now, as far as I know, the house fund is still ongoing and still receiving money from the German guy, all through COVID, and now stands at a substantial figure. And the transfers are currently still going on. So guys, what do you think the girl's intention is? Does she intend to eventually build a new house and settle down with the guy? Why didn't she tell him about the father's business, about the father's house and anything? Or is she waiting until the fund reaches a certain level and then she's going to cut and run? What do you think? Because I have no idea. That's the state of play right now. And this girl's not a bar girl. She's educated. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen. Is she a little bit of a tricky customer, or what do you think? Well, tell me what you think. I'm curious, because I get this information from my hairdresser friend. Every week or two she'll tell me another story about different people and so on, and what ongoing stories. It's really quite entertaining, and I just tell you guys, and it's all true. It's all absolutely true. So we're going to turn right here, and this is Soy Boomerang, which is the new gents club soy, really, with loads of them on it. The ones at the bottom end are the ones which are open. So we'll just have a walk down there, and I'll just show you those, and then we'll wrap up the video, I think. It's a pity I couldn't show you a bit more, but you know what it's like with YT. You've got to be careful. As you can see, as you've noticed it while we've been going around, there's not many people in the way of customers. A lot of girls around, not many customers now. So things have changed from the way they were a while ago. A lot of people, a lot of girls have come back. It's getting much busier with girls than it used to be a while ago. So things are improving. I mean, as far as you guys are concerned, I would think, I mean, the day 5 test from today officially, but it won't actually come into effect for another week. Will be the PCR test is gone on day 5, and it's an ATK self-administered test. So that's a good thing, isn't it? Really, it needs to be gone altogether. So please subscribe and like and share and ring the bell, especially share. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.